Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmi Shai, Bashem Rakag Wadash, and double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone that have taught us this truth, and to include the elder bishops on down, and Yahweh Bashmi Shai Brakatham to all of the brothers from the least to the greatest of us all. So I want to get right into this over here as this reads, America at the brink and how government death squads fill civil war. So as this reads, a palpable tension grips the nation in 2026. The cheers from some quarters from the extrajudicial actions of federal agents signal more than partisan victory. They herald a fundamental rupture in America's social construct. The rule of law, due process, and the constitutional protections are being sacrificed on an altar of tribal rage, pushing the country towards its second civil war. And this descent did not begin with a single event, but with the abandonment of principle. When citizens applaud state violence against their neighbors, they unwittingly sign their own death warrant. So, right now as it stands, you got people that are enraged, especially in Minneapolis, if I'm saying that correctly. In Minneapolis, that's a bit of a tongue twister, man, just naming that state from time to time. People are taking to the streets, people are protesting, and if you don't have people protesting, you have people that are saying things in a way to pretty much coerce other people to violence against ICE agents. And the more that keeps going on is the more, yes, this is literally gonna get to a point where there's gonna be civil disobedience, and this is something that these devils are conjuring up among the people. So when you read these kind of cases over here as an average person, what are you going to get? You're going to get angry. You're going to get upset. And especially other so-called, white people that see other so-called white people get shot. See, when Jake was getting shot, there wasn't really that much of a reaction because, according to them, they just didn't give a shit, and it's just a normal thing to see because, America wasn't made for Jake to prosper, and it wasn't made for Jake to be, situated and satisfied. And it was made so that we can go through the bitterness. And this is what America is to Jake. All right. So these Edomites, they don't give a shit about Jake. They never did. But when it comes to their own getting, dealt with in an inhumane fashion, now all of a sudden there's this reaction and stuff like that. All right. So it's making people angry and taking to the streets and saying things that don't need to be said online, conjuring up civil disobedience overall. So this individual here, Alex Pretty, and many more that were, shot and killed by these ICE agents. Like you had this woman, her name was also Pretty too. And a lot of the times too, you got to also think to yourself, most of these names are made up names, man. Like the guy that they currently supposedly are taking out. If you look at the guy's face, come on, you can clearly see his facial features is to that of a J-O-O. All right. Just to mention. So this is what I was kind of briefly referring to, saying things that don't need to be said online. Let's read this as well. As this reads, the range nurse fired after urging poisoning and paralyzing of ICE agents. A nurse at Virginia Commonwealth University Health has been terminated after posting a series of videos urging sabotage against ICE agents, including injecting them with paralytic drugs and poisoning their food and drinks. So, yeah, I want to also read this too, because there's some stuff that I want to read in this as well, right? And let's go back up here for a minute. Right, so as this reads, this article traces the lethal trajectory from dehumanizing rhetoric to government-sanctioned murder exposing the historical parallels and the dire hypocrisy and the inevitable violent reckoning that awaits a nation sharing its own device. Right. So if you got people, cheering against them ICE agents, case in point, this woman saying that, look, you can do X, Y, and Z. All you got to do is get some, and I did see this video on the TikTok as well. And she was basically saying that, look, you can find like some poison ivy and stuff and just find out where they at and, just put some stuff in their drinks or whatever, or inject some poison into them and just put them to sleep. So when you see stuff like this, America is about to descend into chaos. And this is just one state. All right. This is just one state. So you can only but imagine what America is going to end up being. And this is something that from the beginning of the elder apostles and the brothers on down, we've been conveying this point. So to us, it doesn't really come as a surprise. But I will say this too. It heightens our spirit to know that the Lord is declaring his word and making his counsel known. That I will say. It is exciting times we're living in because of that. So now I want to read this. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Absolutely. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. There's a thing such as auto ab chaos, which is a Latin phrase meaning auto out of chaos, famously adopted as a model of the 33rd degree of that brotherhood, as you can see over here. In the early 19th century, it signifies the imposition of order, structure, or enlightenment upon a state of disorder, confusion, or darkness. The origin here, the model is attributed to the Supreme Council of the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite in Charleston, South Carolina, appearing as early as 1802 in the patent of Count de Grasse. So the order ab chaos phrase just simply means order out of chaos. And they believe through causing a chaotic scenery, therefore they can bring in a new world order system. All right. So when you see these people getting gunned down here and there and all this stuff, man, that's just to incite and conjure up people's emotions so that people can react and respond to violence. And so therefore they can react and respond to violence. And then therefore, ultimately, the Lord's counsel can stand on the left-hand side of things. Okay. So we see very clearly as to what's being had with all of this stuff here. It's very clear. Okay. So anyway, let me see if I can read some more of this too. A video from the scene shows the scuffle between federal officers and pretty federal and state authorities have offered conflicting versions of what happened in the moment leading to the shooting. Trump ordered federal agents to the Democrat-held state in December, pledging a massive deportation of undocumented migrants. On Saturday night, hundreds of people paid tribute to Pretty, lighting candles and chanting his name near the spot where he was shot. So just to include, something else comes to my mind too, is that they put agents out here to get the protesting started and then turn these protests into riots. During the day, hundreds of protesters showed up their anger against the shooting and raids by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. As armed and masked agents used tear gas and stun grenades, protests have spread to other U.S. cities, including New York, where people held signs saying "Justice for Alex" and "Abolish ICE," as well as to Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. Okay, cool. So it's reach other states. The Trump administration has described Pretty as a domestic tea. Wow. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem said he was there to perpetuate violence, saying he approached federal agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. I mean, in the video didn't really show that. I haven't seen that, but I have seen him kicking the lights off that SUV truck and spitting on them ICE agents, or attempted to. That's what I did see, but I didn't see no 9mm gun that he had in his hand. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe he did. I don't know. So yeah, this is the reason why people like this are saying what they're saying online, man. You know, because people are stirred up emotionally due to people getting shot. You had this woman that was shot by an ICE agent, and now this guy here and a 5-year-old. So again, as well as this is written, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Auto app KO is what's being used. Okay, the Latin phrase auto app KO is what's being put into practice by the Hegelian dialectic. All right, Hegel's dialectic. And you know what too, I want to also bring this in as well. And you know what too, speaking about the Hegelian dialectic, what is that all about? For those that don't know, let's research that. The Hegelian dialectic, right? And what I need to do is I need to download some of this stuff, because they're gonna probably take this stuff down eventually. Yeah, so anyway, just to simplify it for you, right? The Hegelian dialectic, the synthesis, removal of freedoms, transfer of power from the many to the few, and the agenda, centralization of power. Thesis, manufactured T threats, and then now you have the repressive police state. And that's the thing. So if you can remove all freedoms and bring it to the few, which is the elite, the super elite, now this is what it ends up becoming. Centralization of power. All right. That's the agenda. It's the centralized power. And that's what this is all about. So before that's all said and done, you got to cause confusion. And this is what Esau is doing. Esau is trying to cause a massive amount of confusion among the people, just so his agenda can be finalized. And that's going to pave the way for the reasoning why you must receive the implantable device. Ultimately. All right. That's one of the reasons. There's going to be a plethora of reasons why you got to receive that implantable device. And this is going to be the ultimate reason, because you're going to have possible T attacks. We don't know who you are. You could be an agent of Iran. You could be an agent of, you could be a spy of Russia. We don't know. All right. So to confirm who you are, we need to make sure that you're implantedly devised. However, they're going to spin this thing. So this is something that I also want to read to you as well. And this was aired out on July the 16th, 2025. As this reads, ISIS now richer than most of the world's militaries, thanks to Trump's new funding. Immigration and Custom Enforcement, the federal law enforcement agency primarily tasked with carrying out President Donald Trump's mass deportation agenda, now has a larger budget than most of the world's militaries. Through the president's signature domestic policy, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, ISIS annual budget is expected to increase from $8.7 billion to approximately $27.7 billion, with a $75 billion allocated for the agency over the next 4 years. And we're in the year of 26 right now. So what are they going to do with all of this money? Because there's only so much money that can be used to cause a ruckus. So what else are they going to do with this money? Could they very well possibly formulate new concentration camps? I mean, who knows? But they're going to be able to do quite a bit with a lot of this money. Leaked signal chats prove radical Democrats coordinating ICE attacks to orchestrate bloodbath in the streets. A leaked signal group chat used to track and impede federal immigration enforcement in Minneapolis has reportedly named at least 2 Minnesota Democratic state officials in former Gov. Tim Walz's campaign, advised Amanda Kogler, as admins and dispatchers. The revelation comes as federal immigration enforcement operations in Minnesota have exploded into violence and unrest, including the fatal shooting of Alex Pretty by a U.S. Border Patrol agent on January the 24th of this year. One of the multiple deadly confrontation links directly to the federal presence. So again, just like I've mentioned, and as well as we already know already, us brothers in the know, we know that this is a device that Satan is now using to stir up the people to create an all-out chaotic scenery just so that they can get the ball rolling with the one world system. Okay? And pride before then they can round people up and put them into MRAP traps and send them to a concentration camp. So just like I said, if they're getting all of this money, because there's only so much money that there's only so much you can do with causing a chaotic scene. What else are they going to do? What else are they going to come up with all of this money? And this was back in July, the 16th, 2025, this was aired out. So the Lord knows what they're going to be able to do in the future. Genesis 9 and verse 6. Whoso shed of man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of the Most High made he man. And I bring this precept out now to convey the point, which makes a lot of sense, because we have to always keep in mind that America got to start by great violence. A lot of people died for America to be where it's at right now. A lot of people got slaughtered, and the people that got slaughtered was the tribes that were already in what is called America today. And then you had the so-called Negro that was brought into slavery against his will. We got brutalized there as well. You had a lot of lynchings that was going on, and a lot of brutal things happened to us as a people, as a collective. All right, from tribe to tribe, a lot of shit happened on the soils of America, which the Heavenly Father conveyed to Noah here, right? And this was after the flood. Whoso shed of man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, and for in the image of the Most High made he man. So guess what? Esau's blood is going to be shedded. And let's tie this in with Ezekiel 35 and where we at? Verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith the Lord power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. So on the streets of America, there's going to be a great deal of desolation. There's going to be wasteness. There's going to be confusion until the missiles come and hit it. Why? Because of what they did to us, man. What they did to the so-called North American Indians, the Seminole Indians that came out of Florida, and as well as what they did to the so-called Negroes on the soils of America. All right. And that's why it's going to start getting bloody in America. All right. It's going to start getting bloody on the streets, on the soils of America, because America begot itself by blood. Esau established their town, or let me just say, the nation has been established by blood and by iniquity. And so by these same things, this is the reason why America is going to go out the same way. Blood in and blood out. So speaking of a bloodbath, right, this is going to be the case. Let me read verse 5 again. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, save the Lord power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Say, if thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Yeah, they love to shed that blood. Okay? And they did it to the maximum. They got right into it. So now the Lord is going to get right into them. Numbers 35 and verse 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So there's going to be payback. It's very simple. It's just going to be a recompense to the wrongs that was done. Okay, cool. Yeah, what was done to us as a people was, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 400 years ago. But guess what? The Most High requires that which is past. So there ain't no escape from judgment. Esau can only but go through judgment. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's being brought forward to him, whether he likes it or not. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the Son of Man is fully set in them to do evil. Though a sinner do evil 100 times and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear the Most High, which fared before them. But it shall not be well with the wicked, and neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not the Most High. Absolutely. Because they're going to see the great evils that they've put upon many, especially of the tribes. So the Lord is going to pay them back with the same damn energy. All right. And that's all I got to say with this. You want to talk about a bloodbath? Well, this is the reason why this is all going to be had. And they're going to get what they want. These elites are going to get the auto app KO they want, because prophecy states that, and it's going to be something they ain't going to be able to control as they believe. All right. Because the Lord controls both sides, the left and the right hand side, to fulfill his will. Shalom.